Okay, guys, so I'm just gonna go over the assignment that I sent you guys. Sorry if I sound a little stuffy and I'll be sniffing a little because my nose is running. All right. So the first section we're gonna start with is chapter 2. Vamos a leer. Vamos a leer. Right? It says Esteban y sus amigos se encuentran en una fiesta en casa de un amigo. Esteban and his friends meet at a party at a friend's house one night. So Esteban says, Hola Martín, buenas noches. Martín says, bienvenidos a mi casa, entren. Esteban says, gracias Martín, ¿cómo estás? Martín says, bien, muy bien. Esteban says, Martín, te presento a mi amigo Lermit. Martín, bienvenido y mucho gusto. Lermit, gracias Martín, esta es mi novia Marisa. Martín, bienvenida a mi casa, because he's now speaking to Marisa. Bienvenida a mi casa. Marisa says, mucho gusto Martín. And Martin says, el gusto es mío. There's something else that Marisa could have said. She could have said using the verb encantar. She could have said encantada, because she's female. All right, so encantada. She could have also said that. So responde a las preguntas basadas en el diálogo. So answer the following questions about the dialogue. At whose house is the party held? Going back, we say, bienvenidos a mi casa, entren. Okay? So it's held at Martin's house. The party is held at Martin's house. All right? The party is held at Martin's house. Just to speed up the process, I won't be writing out the full sentences, just the parts of the answers that are necessary. Number 2, who does Esteban introduce to Martin? Esteban, right here, he says, Martin, te presento a mi amigo Lermit. Okay, so Esteban introduces Lermit, his friend. If you guys just had Lermit, I would have given you the point. That's not a problem. Those who said Lermit, his friend, being more specific, I commend you guys for that. So the next question is, who is Marisa? As we scroll up, we see that Lermit says, gracias Martín, esta es mi novia Marisa. Okay, so in Spanish, the word novia, because I see here some people had put partner, some people had put fiance, some people had put girlfriend. In Spanish, the word novia means girlfriend. So Marisa is Lermit's girlfriend. In Spanish, when we want to use the word partner, we would say pareja. Marisa. So in Spanish, if we wanted to say fiance, we would use the word prometida. Fiance. Now it comes from the verb prometer, which means to promise. So the idea is that a prometida or prometido is somebody who is promised in marriage to somebody. All right? So for those who put fiance, I will not be accepting that answer. And pareja is partner. Okay? What does Marisa say to Martin when she's introduced to him? So Marisa here says, mucho gusto, Martin. Oops. She says, mucho gusto, Martin. Okay? Which means the same thing as encantada, which means nice to meet you. Okay? And what does Martin invite everyone to do? Now, I realize here a lot of people have had some issues because they said that Martin invited everyone to a party. At that point, Martin says, el gusto es mío, entren todos. All right? You guys may not have necessarily gone through that, but he's actually commanding todos to entrar. It's a command from the verb entrar, which means to enter. Okay? So Martin is actually inviting everyone to come inside. All right. All right, so that takes care of that. So now we move on to empareja las frases de columna A con columna B, match group A to group A. Group B. So, bienvenidos a mi casa. That one, you know, if somebody tells you welcome to my house, you tell them thank you. All right, thank you. Ana, esta es mi amiga Julia. I've noticed that a lot of people, they put mucho gusto, which by definition is correct. That's not wrong. But if you were to put mucho gusto, when you get to the next one that says, te presento a mi novio, anybody who would encantada here gave it to them wrong. Because the thing is, you guys are men. And like I always said, you would never say encantada. You would always say encantado. So the person is presenting their amiga Julia. They're like, esta es mi amiga Julia. But who is she presenting Julia to? She's presenting Julia to Anna. So Anna would be the one speaking, and Anna would respond by saying, encantada. All right? ¿Cómo estás? Regular. Te presento a mi novio. Mucho gusto. Now, I was explaining to one of the students that if you had put mucho gusto for Ana, esta es mi amiga Julia, I would give you the point for that one because it's correct. However, te presento a mi novio, the answer for that would have to be encantado. But if you were to say te presento a mi novio and you guys say encantada, I'll give you all that wrong because you guys would say encantado. Had this assignment been given to female students and then they said encantada, I would have given them their point. But remember, I want you guys to learn the proper way to speak the Spanish. You as a man, when somebody presents somebody to you, your response would always be encantado. Encantado. Because remember, you are the one who's enchanted to meet the person. And ¿quién es tu amigo? Este es Rodolfo. And the last one is mucho gusto. El gusto es mío. What it pretty much says is much pleasure, and the pleasure is mine. Okay? Simply put. Next, we move on to section 3. Most of you guys did very well in this section, and I'm very content for section 3. It says, llena los espacios con la palabra correcta. Estos zapatos son. Now, zapatos is masculine. All right, OS, but you can also tell because you use estos. They didn't use estas. So estos zapatos son, the answer would actually be míos. All right, if you put estos zapatos son mía, that would be wrong. If you put estos zapatos son mío, that would be wrong because it's plural, masculine plural, so it would be míos. All right. Next, we have son dash estas cartas. Estas cartas. So we know that it's plural, feminine. So we would say tuyas. All right. So next we have something profesores son muy inteligentes. So we know son, so that means that it's more than one. But also we see profesores, which is plural. All right. It is profesores. So in that case, they're using the male form. So it would be nuestros. If it was a bunch of female professors, they would have said dash profesoras son muy inteligentes. So it's nuestras profesoras son muy inteligentes. Next, we have dash amigo se llama Pablo. How many friends are we talking about? Just one. So it actually be su amigo. All right? It's singular friend. Esta casa no es dash. Esta casa no es dash. The casa is singular female. You can also tell because there's esta and they also use es. So it's going to take suya. All right. Suya and su. Dash hermanos son altos. How many brothers? More than one because it's hermanos and they also use son. Remember, es is and son is are. All right. So if they're talking about plural and plural, then you're going to be using mis. Mis hermanos son altos. Donde están? I realize some people had some issues with this one, but padres is plural, so you'd use tus padres, all right? So now I move on to section 4. Section 4 is the section that gave a lot of trouble. Like I had told you guys, a lot of the times, and I saw this happen, a lot of guys use, for example, look at the first one, for example. Este es mi libro, dash está sobre la mesa, his. A lot of people said su está sobre la mesa. Su in this case, su, when using su, you're possessing an object or you're possessing something. So had you said su libro está sobre la mesa, it makes sense because when you use this form su, it has to be attached to an object. So su dash. Alright? But if you want a standalone version, you would say his. When you're saying his, it'll be el suyo together. Now I see some people had just put suyo. What I did was I put a little arrow, I corrected them, I put el suyo, and then I give them half a point. Alright? Because when you're saying his in that form, you have to use the article as well. Alright? Have to use the article, so it's el suyo. El suyo means his. His is on the table. If you use su, you'd have to put some form of a noun here. His what? But this one is just his. His. Alright? His. Alright? Me gusta tu casa es más linda que, and then the same thing we spoke about is not just, well, first things was talking about casa. You know what, casa. So we know we're going to be using the female form, mía. But you can't just say es más linda que mía. You have to say la mía. Alright? This section had kind of confused a little bit of people. Because mi dash tu dash su dash nuestro o nuestra dash nuestros y nuestras dash. And you also have the plural form mis and then tus and then sus, right? But they refer to an object, my object, your object, his object, her object. But if you're just saying mine, remember I said mi means my, my, not mine. This one means your, not yours, it means your. Su means his or hers, and I understand why his or hers or yours plural, yours formal. I understand why you guys would be tempted to use su here, but that type of su is not what they're talking about here. This type of su is possessive and it usually means su and an object attached. If you're just saying mine, you'd use, if you're just saying his, you'd use el suyo, la mía. So, aquí están mis padres, donde están, plural. We're also talking about padres. So what we're gonna say, los tuyos. Los tuyos. Tu escuela está cerca de tu casa. Ours. La nuestra. Okay? You can't just put nuestra está. You have to say nuestra escuela está. Because remember, nuestra plus an object. Nuestra escuela está muy lejos. But we're not using that form. We're just saying ours is located very far. This last one was a little bit confusing, and I don't blame you guys because Spanish is just, it says el carro no es dash, es dash. On page 7, like I told you guys, page 7 in the textbook, it said that whenever it comes after the conjugation of the verb ser, which is either es or son, is or a, you don't include the article. So in this case, el carro no es des, you put el carro, which is masculine, so you put suyo. El carro no es suyo, es hers, which is actually the same thing, suyo. A lot of people had put suya, and that's wrong because you're still talking about the carro. Okay, the carro. So, el carro no es suyo, es suyo. Doesn't make much sense, but that's just how it is correctly said in Spanish. Okay. So that's pretty much everything. Now, in terms of points wise, I actually gave you guys, so for section A, I gave you a lot of 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. Section A, I gave you a lot of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So section A was out of 5 marks. Section B was out of 6 marks. Section 3 was out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This one was out of 7 marks. This one I actually counted as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I gave you guys out of 6 marks for this. In total, it added up to 24. So I just gave everybody an extra mark. Plus 1, so everything was out of 25. Okay? So that's pretty much it, guys. If you'll have any questions, feel free to message me in the Google Classroom platform or bring them to class next time we see. All right?